When people stop being polite
and start getting real.
The Real World Road Rules Challenge. TJ Lavin, and I'm the host of the challenge.
Landon grew up in Wisconsin. He was very involved in sports, especially in high school. He was a doubles champion in tennis within his region, as well as he finished 5th in wrestling state qualifiers. He was also part of the water skiing and wakeboard teams. Landon started college in 2000 at the University of Wisconsin-Madison, but would pause his education in pursuing the opportunity to be a part of... Landon was 24 when he made his way onto The Real World, season 15 taking place in Philadelphia. Landon auditioned for the show, seeing it as an opportunity to travel, get out of his small town, and broaden his horizons.
That it was just an excellent opportunity to get out. I mean, I was from a small town in Wisconsin. The idea of actually getting out and really traveling and moving places was a little alien to me. It was just an opportunity for me to travel. I didn't have any money, and so it was the only way I could have traveled. So I really did it for that.
On his Real World season, Landon made 2 significant relationships. One was a friendship with MJ, who was an athletic man with a similar background to himself. And the other was a romantic relationship with Shavonda, both of whom would compete alongside Landon in the challenge. Landon made his challenge debut on season 10, Inferno 2. He was on the good guys team, playing alongside his real-world Philadelphia castmate Shavonda, and against Commando, his other real-world Philly castmate who was on the opposite team of him. Landon had one of the best debut seasons of any challenger rookie. Landon won the Life Shield 4 times. The only other person to win it more that season was CT. Something else very impressive was that Landon was the only good guy that season to win an elimination. One after another, his teammates would drop, but not Landon. In episode 6, he used his Life Shield to save Mike and to send himself in the elimination against Commando. Landon won. The good guys was hoping it would be the beginning of a momentum shift in the game. But that didn't happen. More good guys went home, from Jody, Brad, and then Julie. Also on the season, there was this rivalry sparking up between Landon and Derek. They'd wrestle every now and then, and one night, their roughhousing went a bit too far, and it led to Derek giving Landon an overnight haircut. Landon embraced his new do, and it became one of the most iconic hairstyles in the challenge's history. There was a little bit of tension on the good guys team heading into the Crab Grab Daily Challenge. Prior to the competition, Landon was selected by the other team to be sent into the Inferno. This was the final men's elimination before the finals. Duel felt he needed to win. If not, Landon would probably win and send him into the elimination. So Duel made the decision to help secure a good lead before helping his teammates out of the sand. Despite the good guys winning the daily challenge, Duel's move rubbed Landon the wrong way. Regardless, Landon went into the elimination against Dan, and Landon latched another win underneath his belt. He won the final Life Shield of the season, but it was bittersweet as that same week, he had to see his former real-world castmate and friend Shavonda be eliminated right before the finals. The good guys came into the finals at quite a numbers disadvantage, but it actually was an advantage for them. They were a fierce, sleek foursome. They had great team chemistry and barely any weaknesses. They got off to an early lead and never looked back. The team of Landon, Darrell, Mike, and Jamie crushed the other team, topping off an incredible rookie season for Landon with a challenge win and a good chunk of change. Landon was back for the next season, Gauntlet 2. He was on the rookie team with strong team members like Alton, Jody, Jamie Murray, and his former real-world Philadelphia castmate, MJ. Gauntlet 2 was sort of like a vacation for Landon. The rookie team won a slight majority of the daily challenges that season. Landon was never in any danger of seeing an elimination, thanks in part that he was a strong asset for his team, but also the format of the season helped shield him from any danger of the season. Unlike the prior season, Landon's rookie team had a numbers advantage coming into the finals, as well as the veterans team lost major players late in the game, with both Brad and Derek losing eliminations. Derek was the heart of the veterans team. Him exiting right before the finals was rough for them. Gauntlet 2 finals was strange in that it consisted of 3 games. Before any of the games were played, the two teams had to assign players to each game and a doubloons amount. Whichever team won, they'd win the other team's doubloons. The team with the most doubloons at the end of the 3 games would win the finals. The veteran team plays all but 2 of their doubloons on the first game, which was eating an exorbitant amount of roadie. The rookies pulled off the win even with 1 less mouth. There was no way the veterans team would mount a comeback in the next 2 games. They forfeited before most likely being shut out completely in the finals. In less than a year, and in 2 seasons, Landon was now a 2-time challenge champ. But Landon would pause his challenge career. He would sit out from season 12 Fresh Meat to season 16 The Island. According to his LinkedIn, it looks like in 2008 he graduated from the University of Wisconsin-Madison. It seems as though he took the prize money from his 2 wins and decided to finish up his higher education before thinking about returning to the show. Landon made his challenge resurgence on season 17 The Duel 2. Despite being away for 3 years, Landon didn't look like he skipped a beat. He came in stronger than ever. He still had that fire of a competitor within him. Landon won 5 of the 9 daily challenges on the season. The 5 challenges he won were in a 6-episode period. In that 1 week he didn't win, he was called out by Isaac to go into the elimination. Isaac was a rookie. He was also very strange. One night while Isaac was in a deep sleep, Landon took nail clippers and cut his toenails. Isaac had been growing out his toenails for like months, he said. When he heard and saw what Landon had done, that was enough to ignite a fury within him. So Isaac took the opportunity to face Landon one-on-one, where he lost. Landon was a tough competitor and he made the guys nervous. They knew they needed to get him out or he was going to win the game. The last elimination games were impromptu and TJ told everyone they needed to vote someone in. Landon left to grab a pen from the other room to help in the voting process for the men's side. This would be the worst move Landon ever did in his challenge career. The trio of Brad, Evan, and Mark made a deal to all vote Landon, making sure he was in the last elimination with a possibility of going home. And whoever Landon called out, well, good luck. The plan worked with Landon being blindsided. He chose Brad to go against in the back-off elimination. Brad knew he couldn't out-wrestle Landon, so he tried to outsmart him. In round 1, Landon got overzealous. He gave up a point to Brad after being too rough and not following the rules of the game. Landon tied things up in round 2, and in round 3, Brad teetered on playing within the rules and giving up a point, but before TJ could blow the horn, Brad let go of Landon. He flung Landon's ring, giving Brad enough time to run across the arena and lock the hook on his ring. Brad had done the impossible, beat Landon in an elimination. This was the first season Landon had not made the finals. Of course, Landon was disappointed. He played a fantastic game, winning more than any other guy over the course of the season, and making it that far without a finals appearance was tough. But this was an important lesson for Landon to learn, a lesson he would never forget. In 2010, Landon would spend his spring break in Mexico being a part of the Spring Break Challenge spin-off special. This was a 5-episode special event where 7 challenge legends would coach a group of college kids for money and prizes. Landon's team did good enough in the first 2 challenges, but in episode 3, Landon's team would finish in the bottom 2 by being disqualified for his team breaking the rules in the Bird Feeder Challenge. They faced Team West in an elimination, where Landon's team lost in tough battles of pole wrestle. This season wasn't really any reflection of Landon's challenge ability, but it deserved to get a mention. As well as, this wasn't the last time we'd see Landon and Wes at odds in a challenge season. Landon was back for the 19th season of the challenge called Fresh Meat 2. He was ready to help usher in the new era of the challenge while also trying to win his 3rd title. Landon had the 8th pick in the Fresh Meat draft. However, he really didn't have a choice. After picking for draft spots, 7 of the first 8 picks were all men, leaving Landon as the last man to get a partner, whom he was given Carley. Now, Carley didn't have the best stats, hence why she dropped to Landon, but she had heart and wasn't going to quit. Landon learned his lesson of playing an upfront, fair game with no alliances from his experience on the Duel 2. Honestly, Landon's previous seasons, he was able to use his physical abilities to his advantage that he didn't feel the need to form alliances. But this season was going to be different. With a clear divide in the house, Landon hitched his wagon to the Wes and Evelyn side. He made it clear in episode 2 when he and Carley were the power duo, and selected Kenny and Laurel to be sent into the exile. The power dynamic of the house was perfect for Landon, as Kenny, Evelyn, and Wes were so busy going after each other. Landon and Carley did their best in dailies and sort of rode the fence a bit. They weren't really on anyone's radar until episode 6 when Wes and Ev threw Landon, Carley, CJ, and Sydney under the bus in an attempt to save themselves. Landon wasn't a huge fan of Wes and Evelyn's politics throughout the course of the season, and being the winner's pick was the final straw. When Landon and Carley won the exile and came back into the house, their ideas changed. Landon had pivoted away from his original alliance, and he was directly responsible for the exits of both Wes and Evelyn that season. The next episode, Landon and Carley won back into power and selected Wes and Mandy to send to exile. The rest of the house voted Evelyn and Luke. Wes was eliminated. And then in episode 8, Landon and Carley were voted into the exile and won against Evelyn and Luke, sending them home right before the finals. It's hard to look at Landon and say he was an underdog heading into the Fresh Meat 2 finals, but he and Carley were going up against Kenny and Laurel, who were rock stars that season. They won 5 out of 9 daily challenges. Landon and Carley, I would say, were second odds on favorites as they had won the next most challenges at 2. Despite being slight underdogs or their past struggles on the season, Landon and Carley were able to get out front and cross the finish line first. Landon had won his 3rd challenge championship in only 4 seasons. Landon's stats look absolutely dominant, with 3 championships in 4 seasons, only seeing 6 eliminations, being 5-1, and winning over $184,000 in prize money. After season 19, Landon hung up his challenge jersey indefinitely. Prior to Fresh Meat 2, Landon had started a job as a dental equipment and technology specialist. A job description that sounds like it pays well, and according to Landon, it does. He was ready to move on to the next chapter of his life. He moved to Denver, Colorado, has a good paying, stable career, and got married. Landon stays active by cycling and doing outside activities. He hasn't completely turned away from the challenge, as he's done some Challenge Mania interviews and been to some live events or two. Mark Long has reached out about the possibility of Landon returning one day for the Challenge All-Stars. There's a hint of never say never, but also Landon has mentioned that it would take a lot for him to pack up and play the game again.
I just don't know if that really makes a lot of sense for my life right now. Mark Long had called me and he's like, we're going to get the old school guys. And I'm like, I don't know, man. Well, here's what it would take. And he's like, okay, well, I don't know if that's going to happen. But when you start making decent money out of school, it's hard to go back against all the groundwork you've laid to go in and just start to be recognized by, people all over. It's just what you've tried to get away from for the last, for me, 10 years.
Longtime fans would love to see Lando Commando back on our TV screens, and we never know what the future holds. But Landon seems comfortable and secure with his life that subjecting himself back in the realm of the challenge just isn't something he wants to go through again. Luckily, we have seasons and episodes of the real world and the challenge readily available to help remind us of just how incredible of a competitor Landon was on the show, where his legacy can live on streaming forever.